Hi, this is a brief description of how to add a class to a directory and to a project, I should say, and then use it. So I already have part of the project done. I have the FileIO done, and I depend on player. So therefore, what I'm going to do is go ahead and show you how to create a player class. The way you do that is you go to source code, you say add, then come down here to say class, and then I'm going to call this player, which then will create a player.h and a player.cpp. I don't have any base class, which is if I wanted player to inherit from someplace else, then I will go ahead and put something here, but this is not based on another class. Inline, are all the items going to be inline items, or are they going to be then in a separate CPP file? And if they're inline, notice what happens is the CPP file goes away, and then I have to do everything as inline functions. And I think I'll just still have a CPP file. So then I will say OK. And it will create those two files. Then if I want, I can go ahead and notice player.cpp or player.h, and then I can go ahead and then go ahead and just copy the header file over. And the other thing I need to do is add, just to make sure, is precompiler and just as a flag so that it's not included more than once. Then I go ahead and then I need to, if I do this, I need to have an end if at the Okay, just wondering what the problem, there must be a problem here someplace, because those two should match up. And looks like there's a problem here also. And so I do now have a player.h file. Oh, okay, that's why. Since it's a class name, it has to be capitalized. And then I have a new player here. And I will go to FileIO and just go ahead and just include these and modify them. And so, excuse the noise. And I'll just go ahead and take care of that later. It's annoying, but I need to give them a call. So then I'm going to do if not def and player so that I can make sure that this is not incorporated more than once. And then at the end, add a pound and if. And that should match up, and it does in this case. Then I will go ahead and have a constructor. And all I want on the constructor require the name. So then I'm going to do a string, comma, int equals 0. And as a default, I'm just going to have the games as 0. The wins is 0. The losses at 0. And the ties as 0. And then again, on the constructor, I have to have it this way. And then there are a few things I need to set up in here. Then on any class, I need to have a private and then string name. And then to not do too much time, I have games, I have wins, losses, I have ties. So this will just go ahead and allow me to keep track of all wins, losses, and then I will go ahead and have a destructor, which is just player and require no parameters. And then I will define those. Then I'm going to do a couple of inline routines, assuming that I have inline, then say it's void, and I'm going to have 3 increment wins, And this one, all I'm going to do is wins plus plus. And then also, since anytime somebody wins, they also have increased their games. And then I'll do the same thing here. Or losses. And then I will do it one more time for ties. And there's one other one I need to do because I'm using something else in the code. And I'll just go ahead and this one I'll have to explain a little bit. Okay, if you're familiar with this one, then it will be let's see. Operator equal. And it doesn't really have to return anything on that. And let's see if that's right. I should have looked this up a little bit because it's just an operator equal, but I wonder if I have to set anything. And I might have to come back and change it, but I'm just going to put in something I think it is right now and correct it as I go along. And so then I'll just put in a this is just an operator function, so I can go ahead and use the equal sign. I think this will do it, but we'll go back and change it in a bit if it doesn't compile. And input another layer and set values of current player to the passed in. Okay, so void operator equals player. Okay, looks like that worked okay. And then go ahead and we don't have to copy that over, but we have to copy over the players. And we'll just go ahead and copy these two over to then the player.cpp file. And notice we have that in there. And so then we will go ahead and set player : as the constructor. Then we need to have values. And let's call this G, W, L, and T. So then we'll just go ahead and say name equals N, names equals G, C, wins equals W, equals L, and ties toes equals. Okay, now we have everything set up for the player, and the player destructor we really don't need to do anything with. So, but I'll still have it here, player : Okay, then we have two more to add. And again, I'll come back later and type in all the comments and then add to this video to show you what I typed in. Then I have two more or one more to do. And so I go back to player.h. And so this one's not defined yet. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it over. And that's one advantage of typing in your comment to begin with. Then you can just copy it over and it's a lot easier to take care of. Then player.cpp. And then we'll just go ahead and put in player in front of this. And we'll just call this P. Then there are certain ones we need to set, and might as well just come down here. And then we'll just do P dot name. P dot games. P dot wins. P dot losses. And P dot ties. Okay, Let me go back here and make sure that everything is set up. And in order to make everything accessible, I have one of two ways of doing that. Either I can make this public, or I can make it public. I mean, I can make it public, or I can keep it private and then have access. But we're just going to have this all public so we can use the dot. Otherwise, I will have to then have a set and get command for each of these. So let's just see if we can do anything now. And let's just go to main. I have to do all the okay, then I have those two. And then the main thing is int main and then I'll just go ahead and do a couple ones here. Is have a FileIO. And then if I want to, I can call it FileIO, then give it a name like mine. Sweeper. Oops, has to be in quotes. This is expected to be a string. Okay, that will create the FileIO. Then if I want, I can do okay, let's see, there might be something wrong with that. Oops. I see what the problem is. Okay, I see what the problem is. I need to make a player first. So I'm going to do a player Bob. And a second player George. And then instead of passing in, I need to pass in a player. So I'm going to pass in the player Bob. Also going to do a file IO dot update player. And I'll just type in George. then to see if it works, I'll do a FileIO.print players. And then to exit, return 0. And then we'll just see if everything compiles. I think there's still a problem with FileIO right now, but there shouldn't be too many other problems. And I'll just go to main. It's main, and then file.h. Okay. Oh, I see what the problem is. Local ones always have to be in quotes, whereas system ones have to be in the greater than, less than, greater than pair. And let's just see if I can. Should. Okay, there, I finally took it. And then let's see if the file, okay, if not def is no longer giving me a problem, which is good. Also, yeah, just make sure that any system one is always in the less than, greater than pair. And anytime you have a player, you can go ahead and put it in this way. And then I'm going to save it all. And then I'm going to do a build and see which me well, because this again is all done on the fly. Okay. Okay, I'm going to have. Okay, since I overrode the constructor, then I have to have something in here. Do I really need the player at this point? Okay, I'm just going to do a temp. And then just go ahead, and this is just a temp name, because on the constructor, I require at least one string. And I might just use the term player instead. Because I'm just going to be reading in the file, so I just have to create it with something. I'll just call it player. And then likewise, I need to have a, I don't have defaults for the initial player. Okay, so there's those two taken care of. And there's, let's see, there's another one. Okay, and there's something. Oh, okay. So then let's see, update player. Okay, I'm going to just do this as p dot name, because this is all I have to worry about, is equal to player spy, then the name attribute. Because I could also have a new, let's see, operator that would be for equal equal. That'd be a might interesting one to do, but right now this is, we'll just see if this builds. Okay. So there's a few things it still doesn't like. Oh, I have another one. Oh, okay. Okay, let's see if I have any other ones. Since I just have a single string, I have to have it equal another string because it can't. Go ahead and parse the two. Let's try one more time. Okay, let's see. Oh, can't believe I did that, but I did. As you see, let's just see if that took care of the last error. Okay. Okay, so it doesn't like checking the size. And so let me just try to put int in front of that and just do a cast into an integer. And then I'd have to do the same thing on all these. Okay, we'll try this one more time. Let's see if it works. Okay, so then okay, I can't redefine default arguments. They're just set up in the initial one. So I need to get rid of all those. Okay, so then it just says redefine. Looks like there's all redefine. So we'll try it again. And okay, so then we'll debug, start debugging. Now let's just see if it all works out. Yeah, it's taking a while to execute. Sometimes when this happens is I just go ahead and if it's stuck someplace, I go ahead and unstick it. And this will stop the debugging. and then go back into where I want to see what's happening. So I'll go back into the FileIO CPP. Oh. Okay, so I was unable to start. So then I'm going to go back into FileIO CPP, and then just go ahead and set a breakpoint on line 18, and go ahead and start debugging. Okay, doesn't look like it likes that, so I'm just going to go back to main, and then just go ahead and step through the program and see what it does. Okay, then here I have a choice of either stepping over this to see if it sets it up, or step into it, see what it does. So why don't I go ahead and step out, step in. Now notice it comes to the constructor. And so it sets up the ifstream player, file base. Okay, then okay. This case then apparently it did set up something. Open back file. Playlist clear. While input. Okay. So then there should be a Minesweeper file now with nothing in it, and the vector with nothing in it. Then I'm going to go ahead and set up player Bob, player George. Then this one, I'm going to go in and see if everything's functioning the way I expect. So notice function update player. And then there are nothing there. Oh, I know what I needed to do here. My bad. Did you see what I did wrong? Because if I don't do anything at this point, I never get to this statement here, so I never add the player to the vector. And I always want to add the player to the vector. So then we'll go ahead and stop this debugging. And that's why you go through and do the debug. So I could do a build again. And then do debug. And again, I can do step over. Oops. And this is in the constructor. So there's nothing here. So I'm going to just step over this. Then I can step in, make sure my Bob is working correctly. So then if I step over, then it's going to go through and then that is taken care of. We should have one now in George. And then we're going to file update. So I want to go in, make sure that the list is fine. And then notice player not found. I'm going to go ahead and push on the list. And then update player George. Okay, it's just once a player has been created for this. Okay, then we'll just go ahead and maybe just go out of this and see if and then if I go out of this, it should print the information. And that should be out. And then go back here and see. Okay. And it did print the 2. And then the only change I will make, which I will still end it on here, if you notice, it did print out the full list of everybody with their wins and losses. And if I want to, I can make some more adjustments to it. But the main thing I will do at this point is press any key. And then on the print statement, I noticed, where do the print? There's one thing I need to do. And Del, which reminds me, I need to have the other ones all on new lines so that when I print out the back file, then I need to do A and Del also. Then that way in the file, there'll be a new line for each output. And then also on the destructor, I need to do the same thing here. Otherwise, it's going to be a mess. Everything's going to be all on one line. So I think that is all I want to show. And I will be able to make this code available if you'd like. So I hope you've enjoyed it. And I will go ahead and say goodbye.